Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Something that I came to know on the way back from Simhacalam was that some of the local devotees know much more about the details of the deities and the festivals than I had heard, because they speak Telugu and they heard from the priests many wonderful descriptions of the histories of those deities. But before we begin that, one of the details that I heard, well, something that I didn't present in the Katha, was that when Pururava, King Pururava, remember him? He was requested by Lord Nrsingadev to worship him in a particular way. So first was cleaning away the anthill, and then next was big abhishek, which they continue to do until today, on the day that they remove all the chandan. So Pururava offered a prayer to Mother Ganga that she please appear and allow her celestial waters to bathe Lord Nrsingadev. So Ganga came personally. And Pururava gathered water from the Ganga, same as as far as I know, it's the same name as where the Ganga flows into the ocean, Ganga Sagara. That's what's called. Near where we were having kirtan, very close by, there's a part of the mountain where there's a continuous flow of Ganges water. It's not from melting snow. It's coming from some other place. Let the geologists figure that one out. Since the time of King Pururava, the Ganges has been flowing right there. Down the mountainside, continuous streams, so they always have fresh water, uncontaminated by factories and all the other stuff. So what I heard was that during that day, because I was asking, what's it like? Have you been there on the day when they have that big festival? Must be gazillions of people, all trying to single file their way through and see the deity. They said, yeah, they've been there. And the deity is a bas-relief deity, very clear, the visible form of about 2.5 feet tall. What are you supposed to do like this? So, black stone, very clearly the form of Varaha's face. One of his legs is entering into the earth, and his nails and his tail, Lord Nrsingadev, nails and tail, and the body of a man, half lion, half Varaha. And very special is in the evening, if you're either A, Sri Vaishnava, or B, 25,000 rupee person, or C, just very lucky, then from 11 o'clock at night until 3 o'clock in the morning, there's an abhishek. The first part of the abhishek, the priests do, panchagavya, substances. And then comes the water. They have a ceremony. They just like Indradumna Sarovar, bringing the water. The 100 clay pots and that becomes the water that one by one the Vaishnavas go forward and physically bathe the deity with surrounding, in that little area, standing in line for however many hours till they get their turn and bathe the deity. And it's rivers of water flowing out the sides, and they have buckets to gather the Charnamrita, and it's very much, the priests take it home, their Charnamrita supply for a while, and they distribute little packets, the Chandan, 480 kgs of, those of us that traveled internationally to get here, what's the allowable weight limit, kgs of a piece of luggage? 23 kgs, right? Average. You know how heavy 23 kgs piece of luggage is when it's like full? It's heavy. How many times does 23 go into 480? How heavy is all the Chandan? They must really pack it. Not fluff it, pack it. Because the deity is 2.5 feet tall. And Hari Leela was describing in that the mountainside, that mountain and the facing mountain is filled with fruit trees and various edible, naturally supplied by nature, edible items, jackfruit, sitapal. Of course, in season it's it's jackfruits everywhere, or it's sitapal everywhere, or it's cashews. What are the other items? Mangoes. Champak flowers. Abundantly supplied. So there's fresh water. Although they're so remote, there's fresh water. I was wondering, there was a leak in the pipe and this water sprouting everywhere, and I was wondering, where did they get all that water pressure? Must be a powerful pump. It's not a powerful pump, it's the Ganges flowing down the mountainside. And all the natural things that they want. How many of you got a palm full of tulsi leaves? And they gave, where's Nanda Gopal, a whole packet of, at Andal's feet, there was all this pile of kumkum. So that he took this bunch of kumkum. I was commenting, wow, it's a big pile right at her feet. Took a whole bunch and put it in a newspaper thing, wrapped it up, and handed it to Nanda Gopal. We'll distribute. So, what to worry? Just worship the Lord. So I'm going to invite, rather than him telling me and I'm telling you, he can just tell you, Navayovana, who can probably remember a good part of what he heard from you've heard it many times, right? Come sit here.
Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swami Maharaja Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you very much, Maharaj. I seek your blessings to be able to speak something which is purifying to my heart and which serves the purpose for which you asked me to speak. So Simhacalam, there are many hidden glories of Simhacalam which are not easily known unless we know the people around here. So beginning with the deities, as you might have heard a lot from Maharaj, the deities from the Satya Yuga and the story of Pururava Chakravarti has been described already, so I will not speak about that. This hill is the hill from which Prahalad Maharaj was thrown down by Hiranyakashipu. You might have heard that also. So later on, Prahalad requested the Lord that I would like to see you in a form in which both my father and my uncle were killed. So that is how this form manifested. So apparently when Prahalad Maharaj was being thrown down the hill, the Lord wanted to rescue him immediately, and he did not take Garuda. So he came by foot. The Lord was running to save Prahalad. And Garuda, feeling left out, begged the Lord, "My dear Lord, please allow me to serve you. I assure you, I will go very fast." So the Lord, wanting to give that service to Garuda, he got on Garuda's back, and Garuda was flying as fast as he could. But it was not as fast as the Lord wanted. So then the Lord started feeding him with nectar so that he could go faster. And still he couldn't generate the speed that the Lord wanted. So as he was approaching the hill where Prahalad was being thrown from, the Lord disembarked from Garuda and started running. So as he was running, his feet would dig into the ground and it would form deep holes. And therefore his feet was not visible. When he was running to save Prahalad, his feet was not visible. So in this form of the Lord's lotus feet is not visible. When the deity is revealed, you will find that his lotus feet is beneath the ground. And one hand is feeding nectar to, in the same gesture as he was feeding nectar to Garuda, the hand is in that form. And the back of his form is a lion's back with a tail and the face of Varaha, and the rest is a man-like form. The place on which the deity is standing, you would have seen there is a silver pedestal. Beneath the silver pedestal are countless shalagram shilas. They cannot be counted there. Phenomenal number of shalagram shilas there. And some of them you will find on the plate in front of the deity. If you have noticed, there is a plate of a variety of shalagram shilas. Most of them are Narsingadev shilas, but some other shilas are also there. But generally the place is so crowded that you will not get an opportunity to hear from the priest an explanation of that. So they are always busy doing their pujas and all that. So the tradition behind this place is very rich. Of course there are the deities, but the people who live there, who have been carrying this tradition, and these some of the families who live in this place are as old as 900 to 1000 years old. And they still have they know their lineage. There's those kind of families. They come down from Ramanujacharya. The worship was in between, after Pururava Chakravarti left, the worship was discontinued for some time. And then again revived by Ramanujacharya. This worship, as we see currently, is the one which was instituted by Ramanujacharya. And there are many families who are still existent, who are coming from those original times when Ramanujacharya instituted this worship. There are a few other deities inside which you might have seen. One is Goda Devi, another is Simhavalli Tayar, and then there is the Alvar Sannidhi. So when you come out after taking darshan of Lord Narasimhadev, to your right you find the Kapastambam. You would have noticed that. That is a place where it's a wish-fulfilling pillar. And there are many wonderful stories of devotees who have fulfilled, very recent ones also, where devotees, they don't have children, they go, they hug the pillar and they pray for a child and they get a child. And many of them will be named as, again, either the name of Lord Narasimhadev, or as if it's a girl, they will name after Simhavalli. Because behind the Kapastambam, you will find the deity of Simhavalli Tayar. Tayar means mother. So this is the consort of Lord Narasimhadev. There are two deities inside. One is Lord Narasimhadev himself. That is called the Moola deity, Moolavar. Then there is a Utsava Vigraha. If you have noticed, he is called Govindaraja Swami. You got darshan of the deity on the right side. He would be on the right side, Govindaraja Swami. So all the festivals are conducted with Govindaraja Swami. So he is called Utsavar. Utsavar means one who attends the festivals, who presides over the festivals. Sorry. So he presides over the festivals in this place. There are many wonderful festivals. These Vaishnavas, they really love festivals. One thing about Simhacalam is that although many temples have degraded over time, people have become money-minded. The Vaishnavas have started doing that Shalagram, Shila, Badam, Banga. But in this place, amazingly, people have been very pure. They are very faithful to the deity. At least, say, when I first saw this deity, it was 1993. There has been degradation from then, of course. I have seen some degradation taking place. There are visible symptoms of degradation, Kali taking its toll. But still, given what is around, what we see around in South India, in many of the Vaishnava temples, this temple stands far above the standards that we see in other places. The first thing that you will notice is the temple opens at 3:30, which is not normally seen, even in many of the Vaishnava temples, where people are very strict. Till they open at 7 or so. At this temple they open at 3:30. The priest comes, he carries a pot on his head, goes walking to Gangadhara with the drums and a band. There will be a traditional band with Manadaswaram, and there's another kind of drum in South India which makes a lot of sound. They use a stick on one side and fingers with hard coverings, and they beat the drums. A beautiful instrument, very captivating. It's used in festivals, marriages, and any festival for the Lord. So he goes 3:30 in the morning, he goes to the Gangadhara, fills the pot with water, carries it on his own head. Nobody else can touch that pot. Either the chief priest himself or the priest whom he assigns can only do that service. So he comes in the morning with it, with all the paraphernalia around him and the music, and he comes and he bathes the deity in the morning. So this is a very special tradition here that is not open to public. Only the Vaishnavas themselves can see it. Nobody else can enter at that time. Darshan is open only at 7:30. After all the Shringar and everything is over. So after this is done, they have an elaborate worship for the deity, which is full of recitation of prayers and decorating the deity. The Govindaraja Swami deity, every day there is a marriage performed for him. There are two deities on either side of him. They are Sri and Bhu, two deities. So every day it's called Nitya Kalyanam. There is a Kalyana Mandapam. When you come out of the temple, you will see a Kalyana Mandapam. Something. It has many legs. Typically they call it Ayiram Kal Mandapam, which means 1,000-legged Mandapam. Mandapam means hall. Just like this is a Kalyana Mandapam. That is the actual Kalyana Mandapam. These are imitation Kalyana Mandapams. So in that Kalyana Mandapam, every day they perform marriage for the deity. So somebody sponsors it. There's a list of people there's always a booking, and you have to wait for their turn, and it's done very, very beautifully. And the chief priest himself conducts it every day. It starts at around 9 o'clock. So this deity, they do some worship for the deity in the morning from 3:30 to 7:30, both for the Moolavar as well as for Govindaraja Swami. And then after all that is over, 7:30, the darshan is open to the public. Now Simhavali Tayar, you will not generally see worship being conducted for Simhavali Tayar like it is done for the Lord, but they have a very systematic worship. But that is done only by the Vaishnavas. Most of the time you go, you will find the deity door is locked, but you can offer obeisances. And next to that is, you will find a series of small deities with Ramanujacharya in the center, tall deity of Ramanujacharya. This will be a stand wherever you go. Sri Vaishnava temples, you will find this particular Sannidhi. Sannidhi means altar. This altar will always be there. This is the place where they worship the Acharyas. They have a very strong tradition of worshipping the Acharyas. This is one glory of this place. Everybody recognizes that whatever they do is only by the mercy of the Acharyas. In fact, this is something we can note. There are many traditional lessons we can learn from this place, both positive as well as negative. The positive is that they have a very, very strong tradition, which is strongly grounded on philosophical understandings. The negative part is that they are unable to maintain it without actually taking shelter of a current spiritual master, without a current representative giving them deep shelter, and they are accepting that shelter, they are unable to maintain it. And they also recognize it, and that is one reason that they very much appreciate Srila Prabhupada's family. They have very deep appreciation. But that was not the case when I came here newly. I used to see that when our Krishna Smarana Prabhu used to visit us and we used to go there and do kirtan there, they used to be somewhat condescending, sometimes even disdainful of the whole thing. What is this chanting and dancing and kirtans, and it was not a very welcoming mood. But over the years they have grown to understand that this is real. These people, they have a very strong Acharya lineage, and they respect that particular principle very deeply. In fact, whenever they express appreciation for devotees of Srila Prabhupada, followers of Srila Prabhupada, the most prominent point they note is that they are very faithful to the Acharya. They like it because that is their tradition, which they are losing now, and they are very worried that they are losing it, but they don't know what to do about it. So all their prayers in the morning are centered around the acharyas. They have different. They have two main. One main book, which is the Divya Prabandham, from which they recite the prayers. And particularly this month is called Dhanur Masam, which in Tamil they call Margazhi, and I think it would be equivalent of our Maga. Not sure, it comes in November, December. It's a very special month for them. They all rise very early. Typically, the worship for the deity is 3:30 every day, but all the Vaishnavas don't rise at 3:30. The pujari who does the worship rises and he does it. But during this month, all of them rise up at 3:30. They take their baths. They have a ritualistic bath. It's a ceremony. It's something which they do for purification, not just an ordinary bath. They have a lot of procedures. They chant the mantras. Is it okay, Maharaj, my describing all these things?
Yeah.
They have detailed procedures of taking this bath. And then they recite prayers from a specific book. One of the Divya Prabandha has 4,000 songs composed by the Alvars. So sorry, the way I came into this is because we were speaking about the Alvars. The Alvars are very important for this line of Vaishnavas. There are 12 Alvars. If I'm right, I may be making a mistake with that one. There are 12 Alvars, and the youngest of them is Goda Devi, whom you would have, from where you got the Kumkum. That is the youngest of the Alvars. That deity is a recent deity. I'll come to the story as I go around. I come to a full circle. I'll come last to Goda Devi and tell their history also. So these Alvars, they composed, their literatures are called, these Vaishnavas, they have, the learned persons in their Sampradaya are called Ubhaya Vedanta. Ubhaya Vedanta means they are learned both in the Sanskrit Vedas as well as in the Tamil Vedas. The Tamil Vedas are the Divya Prabandhas. These Divya Prabandhas were composed by the Acharyas. They are inspired poetry, very deeply philosophical, and very much centered around descending mercy. It talks about descending mercy. The principle of these Divya Prabandhas is descending mercy. So among them, Tirupavai, it consists of 30 songs sung by Andal, which is sung every day in this month. Each day, there are 30 songs, there are 30 days. Each day they sing one of these songs and they decorate the deity in one particular alankar, Govindaraja Swami. One day it is Narsimha Alankar, one day it is Krishna Alankar, one day it is Rama Alankar, different alankars on different days. They have a festival and the deity comes out in the evening. Govindaraja Swami comes out around 5:30 or 6:30 in the evening. And I think that would have finished by now. That festival would have finished by now, by this part of the month. It doesn't last the whole Margashirsha month. And the deity goes on procession round the hill. You would have noticed there is a road, circular road, in front of the temple. So the deity goes on procession. He is carried on a palanquin, and there are both the traditional drums as well as the modern drums. They engage everybody in service, and they carry fire torches. And constant recital of mantras, prayers. These Vaishnavas, they are very chaste in their recitations. One thing you will notice about these people, if you interact closely with them, they are very simple. They are not ostentatious. They are not looking for money. Nobody will ask you for a single penny. In fact, sometimes it's very surprising. They are too pure. But of course, their next generation is unable to keep up that standard. But at least the present people, of course there is a whole range of Vaishnavas, but some people who are holding the place together, they are very pure. And they are the ones who usually chant these mantras. They put their heart into it. They vibrate these mantras so powerfully. And the people are drawn into it. They all come, the whole population of that place, around the hill. We don't find so many visitors coming from outside, but the Vaishnavas do come. And they go around the hill, walk around the hill, and the deity goes back inside. He gives darshan to everybody and goes back inside. That is an evening festival. So in that they sing all the songs of the Alvars. Different Alvar songs are sung. And then, so that is Alvar Sannidhi. There is regular worship done in the Alvar Sannidhi also, which we cannot see. So they do it in the 3:30 to 7:30, their private time. That is when the worship of all the other deities is done. So prominent among them is Ramanujacharya. He is like their founder Acharya. So all their prayers, all their worship begins with prayer to Sripad Ramanujacharya, and they are very strongly connected to him. And then as we go along, you will find a Simhasana. One stone Simhasana you might have noticed when you are going around. That is the place, and there is a deity of Ramanujacharya behind that. That is the place Ramanujacharya used to sit and deliver lectures when he visited this place. And the people would all sit in the courtyard and hear from him. No microphones, no loudspeakers, but a large crowd. He would sit on that Simhasana and he would speak. So, and then we go around, we come to, there is a deity, small deity, Satyanarayana, the Lakshmi Narasimha deity. That is where they do their samskaras, like Annaprashana or Aksharabhyasa for the children, and their local samskaras for the people who visit the temple. They want to do some samskara that is done in front of that deity. So always you will find that place something is always going on, particularly in the morning hours.